This is 0 to 100 Real Slow. My name is Hadi. I'm your host. Episode 1, take 57. I almost gave up on, on this podcast. I haven't put anything out under this channel for over, I want to say a year and maybe even 2 years. I think 2 years. I did. I think I actually did give up on this podcast. And partly because I've just always, I don't know, I've always tried to find out what its identity was. And if you know who I am or the type of person that I am, I'm just in my head so much and I just overwhelm myself with all these things that I want to talk about, that I want to do. And then, obviously I couldn't put out any more episodes because I just got sick of the stuff that I was putting out there. And it was like, no, I can do so much better. And then I just criticized myself. And it's like I didn't give myself enough time to find my flow or rhythm. And and with all the recent events that have been happening in the Middle East, I found myself with a lot of free time, and so I've been working on a lot of personal projects. So I'm putting out content every single day again, and so I was just like, I think it's time we revive this goddamn podcast because goddamn, 2 years it's been up there. I've been paying for the actual RSS feed for 2 years. I just never got around to really just recording the podcast, and so you know what? Fuck it, let's just do this. And over the past few weeks, I've been really just fighting with myself over, what the concept or identity of this podcast is going to be. And I think I figured it out. And so without further ado, 0 to 100 Real Slow, a podcast in where you, the listener or watcher, choose the topic. It's that simple. I'm not going to stress about talking about what I've been through or my past or my goals or my ambition or, where I'm at in my life in terms of, my journey and, where I was last year compared to now. And if I'm, getting bigger in terms of being a content, I'm not going to talk about all that because I'm going to let it sort of naturally slide in, whenever I talk about the things that you guys choose for me to talk. And so what I did was, I think it was just a couple of days ago, I asked one group chat, some friends, to just send in voice notes, right? Send me a voice note. You can even write me a message, right? And I will open it or listen to it on the day that I record the podcast. Anything. It could be about anything. And then I'll see if it gets the juices flowing and I can start talking about stuff. It could be, I don't know, it's like I don't know what my favorite color is or who my favorite sibling is or what I plan to do 5 years from now. I don't know what the voice notes are going to be. But I do know that I can talk a lot about shit. And so we're going to see if this is any better than, the first few episodes that I recorded a couple years ago. And this is already, feel like it's getting off to a good start. And so I'm confident about this concept. And I think as more episodes kind of just come up or pop up on people's feeds, there will be at least one or two people that are like, oh, I don't know this guy, but let me throw a topic and see what he thinks about it because I don't know, maybe the way I describe things is entertaining. I'm not smart. I'm not, a scholar. I'm an entertainer. I've had like a very gypsy kind of life, and if you don't know who I am, we'll figure it out as we go. Okay. I don't want to talk about me. So let's just go straight to the first voice note. I think I've got a couple here that we can work with for the first episode. I think a total of four, maybe even five. All right. So our first voice note, I have to go to these conversations, is from a friend of mine who is also an artist. Her name is Marlis. And let me see where the voice note is. I gotta scroll up. You guys are just gonna have to take my word for it. This is gonna be the first time I'm hearing these voice notes. But also, if it's a topic that I really can't talk about because of where we are in the world, or if it's something that's a little too personal, then maybe in post I'll sort of just mute out the actual voice note and then just explain how we might have to move on to the next voice note or to the next message. All right. So hopefully the first voice note is good. I have a lot of trust in Marlis. She asks great questions. So let's see what the first voice note is. Here we go. 0 to 100 real slow. Okay. I got a little too excited.
Okay, Hadi, what's up? It's Marlis. You already knew that. What is one style of content that you love creating and editing? I really enjoy watching your food videos, your cooking videos, your basketball videos, your MC videos, your rapping and your music videos. There's like all
God,
different types
I do too
of
much.
content pillars and styles. And I'm just curious to know like which one you actually enjoy
Mm,
creating and editing the most. Because
wow.
I feel like the all different types of energy associated with these different styles of content. So yeah, you're very
Mm.
multi hyphenate creative like myself. So yeah, tell me which one do you
Life
enjoy
flex.
creating the most?
Okay. Well, I was actually worried about the first question. That great question. And this is what I mean by how I can sort of, talk about the things that I do based on the questions that I'm asked. And I love this question. And I haven't really thought about it. I've never thought about um this topic or this idea of having a favorite style of content. So I don't know if you heard through the microphone. This is my streamer microphone, by the way. I'm supposed to be. I'll use my other microphone maybe on the next episode, but doesn't listen. Everything is going to be edited anyways in post. So like, I don't. It'll be okay. Um. So like Marlis mentioned, I do like food content, basketball content. I put out a lot of music. Um. I try and do skits here and there. I do a lot of rants, all for comedy's sake, of course. And that's so weird. I don't know what my favorite. I mean, obviously, so like a few years back during COVID, I went viral for my music. I would post a song or like a verse every single day, and it only took a few weeks before I actually went viral. And so, like, music is something that I take so I don't want to say seriously, but it's like it's something that's like it's a part of me that's legit, if that makes any sense. And I love the whole process of creating a song. So obviously I write lyrics. I make rap music. Oh, surprise. Oh, you didn't know that. I make rap music. So I write lyrics and then I listen to beats and I try to find, the perfect fit for everything that I've written. Or sometimes I'll write to a beat and then, and it'll flow and then that becomes a song. And if the beat is available, then I'll buy it. And so this is the process. I love the whole process of listening to something and then it starting a fire and then you write down sort of like your first line or something that you've had in the back of your mind for a while and then you kind of just keep on going and then you build this song and you find the meaning to it. And sometimes it has no meaning. Sometimes it's just like you're flexing on a track or sometimes you're just you're being silly and then other times you're being really serious. Sometimes it's about love, sometimes it's about friendship, sometimes so I love this whole because I'm gone. I'm like, I'm in another world for hours on end. And sometimes it takes me a day to finish a verse or a song. Sometimes it takes me a week. And I love how every song has its own sort of, like its own identity in that sense and where, it dictates how much time I spend with it or, if I'm in an emotional, place for like a good place for me to keep writing, if I have to reach deep down and I don't know what I'm doing with my hands. If I have to like reach deep down and go to a dark place so I can pull out something and maybe expand on that or talk about something that I feel like people go through, but they just don't have a platform and where they can, talk about those things. So I love that whole concept. I obviously have so much fun making music. Um, but yeah, everything from finding the beat and then, loading it up on the DAW and then writing your verse and then recording your first few parts and then listening to it. And then you're like, oh, can I do this whole thing in one take? And then you want to make sure it's crisp. And so you do multiple takes. And I just love the whole process. So I think making music is up there because I'm just in another world when that happens. Um, I get pulled into this like black hole and I'm just gone and you cannot reach me. If and it's I think that's the closest thing I ever get to flow state also is when I'm making the music. So I think that's one part of the answer. Obviously I like my day in the life of videos and where so I'm an entertainer. I'm a host. I'm a presenter, right? So whenever there's an event, I'm usually on the mic. I'm on stage. I make a fool out of myself. I tell people what's going on and blah blah blah. Right? That's what I do. That's my job. And I like it when I get to film all these behind the scenes and all these little interactions that people don't really get to see and then seeing the comments on the videos and I don't know. I really like my day in the life of videos, but I don't know if I enjoy making them. Sometimes it can be a little like it's a burden because you have to make. Oh, I gotta remember to record this or or like or to do this or do that, to take a picture of me doing this or take a video of me doing that. So yeah, it gets a little too messy. It's fun though. So music first, anything to do with acting really, or when I do my rants, I think my rants are super fun. I try to always get the rants on the first take because it's fresh and it just makes for a lot of laughter because it's like Uncle Hattie's just going off again, whether it's road rage or somebody not making their way towards the elevator when you hold the elevator door open. I put this rant out the other day. Um, yeah, really messed up. If I'm holding the elevator door open and we've locked eyes, you know that I'm holding the elevator door, waiting for you to get to the elevator. Don't wait until you get to the elevator to say that you'll take the next one. Like what the anyway? So that's an example of how the rants sound like. But yeah, thank you, Marlis. That's such a great question. But yeah, I think I'll stick with whenever I make music. All right, let's go to the next person here from the group chat. Malik, my boy. Um, so I don't know again if you can see like so when it's green, it's my first time hearing the voice note. All right, so God, I hope this is clean, Malik. I hope this is like hold on, let's see. All right.
Tell me who you think gonna be the new face of the NBA, like after Bron and Steph and their time is over. Like you got Wemby, Shea, Luca, Giannis, all these guys coming up. Anthony Edwards. Who you think gonna take up that mantle?
Okay, so this is obviously a basketball question. If you guys don't know, basketball is a huge part of my life. I'm sort of self-proclaimed the voice and face of basketball in the UAE. I do a lot of the Red Bull half court tournaments. I am the MC at the Coca-Cola Arena for the EuroLeague games. I do the NBA district. There's even something that I might be doing in the next year that I can't really talk about now, but it's sort of in the books or in the works. I don't know, but like basketball is a huge part of my life, and I used to do a lot of pickup videos where I go play basketball as well. But then I got an injury a few months ago. I tore my ACL, and I haven't been on the basketball court since, and it's the worst. I'm depressed. It's a huge part of my life, and I can't do it, and it's making me feel like shit. But going back to the question, Malik. Okay, if we're talking about the NBA, the face of basketball. Obviously, all the names you mentioned are the names that are pretty much in conversation for being the next face. A lot of people saying Shea was the MVP last year. I'm not sure if they called out who the MVP if they already gave out the MVP award this year, but like it looks like he might be MVP again this year. There's the Joker. You mentioned Luca, who pretty much sits up there for me. I love Luca's game. But if anything, for the NBA, I feel like Anthony Edwards just makes a lot of sense because he's just one, fun to watch, two, great personality, three, like he's himself no matter what, whether it's on camera, off camera, on the court, during practice. He's just there's this thing where I think Team USA meet Obama at some point. I don't know if they're at the White House or they just it's just a in the scene, Obama's like kind of just trash talking with Anthony Edwards, and Anthony Edwards goes like, "I'm the truth. I'm the truth. You better know that." Like I love that kind of personality, and just based off of that and the fact that he's such an exciting player to watch, even though all the names you mentioned are great, I think Anthony Edwards should be the next face of the NBA. To be honest, if is he going to win a championship this year, next year? But like, do you really need a championship to be the face of the NBA? I mean, if you have like that much of an impact, like if you have a cultural impact, if you're, I mean, and you're just such an exciting player to watch, and like you're the face of the franchise, and people come to watch you play, and he's doing big things with Adidas, and like, so yeah, I think Anthony Edwards, Malik, to answer your question. Good question. All right, next up, I think we're going okay. I think it's going good. I'm liking where this podcast is headed. Um, so for the next episode, if you're watching this, if you're like, if you don't know who I am, if you've come across this podcast, if you're listening to it for your first time, Why am I stuttering so much? Send in a voice note, be it through email or a DM on Instagram, and hopefully I get to play it next episode and we get to talk about whatever it is you want me to talk about. Okay, next we go to this is Deepra, another friend of mine. She's currently in Bali. So again, I don't know if you can see, it's green. I've never played it. This is gonna be the first time I play it. Excuse me. Deepra has a tendency for saying some wild shit. So I'm hoping this is PG. All right, even though this podcast is R18. Let's see.
I've thought about this one, Hadi. You're not ready. What is your purpose? I want to know. I think we all want to know, what is Hadi's purpose?
Wow. Okay, Deepra. Had to swallow a little over there because there was a little gulp because it's a topic that I talk about. Not a lot, but I'm very, very passionate about this because I believe I know what my purpose is. And there's a lot of people out there, my age, younger, older, who are still searching for their purpose. And that's absolutely fine because that's everyone's journey. I have known my purpose for a while now. And talking about it sometimes can be a little wild because it just sounds so far fetched. I can't have this conversation with just anybody. So when I talk about this now, you will have to, I don't know, just listen with an open mind and an open heart. All right. Okay. In a nutshell, firstly, I was born in the Middle East. My father is German Egyptian. My mom is from the Philippines. I don't have too many ties or too much to sort of like, keep me in place with my Egyptian heritage or my German heritage. My siblings, they lived in Germany. I lived in the Philippines. It was by choice. And so I have this very, sometimes it's annoying, but like I owe the Philippines a lot. I spent a large part of my adolescence over there. So my brain was formed. Its peak formative years was when I was in the Philippines by myself. Third world country, away from everything that I was used to here in the Middle East, had to learn how to be a man on my own, had to lose a lot of friends, had to learn a lot about myself, had to go through all the highs and lows. And I can talk about it, for days on end about all my experiences in the Philippines. But I owe so much to the Philippines. This is just how I personally feel. Just knowing that it can be so much better than it is. It is so much better. But because of all the things that make a third world country and all the bullshit, cliche shit with the government and the corruption, and it has such potential. All right. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to sound like a mixed kid or like a foreigner saying like, oh, I love the Philippines because it's just a great island and the people are nice. That's not why. It's because I just owe so much to it. And I've been through so many different systems and I feel like it can really come out of its shell in a sense, sort of speaking. So what I feel my purpose is, and the reason for why I do what I do all these things. I'm an entertainer. I make music. I act. I host. I'm involved with sports and community building and a lot. I do a lot. And when I was younger, it was because I felt I could just be good at it and I can make a living off of it. And obviously, like every young person or whoever's trying to get into the industry for like firsthand, obviously I wanted fame. I wanted to be popular. I wanted to be known. I wanted to be acknowledged. And a lot of it was because I've had to go through an identity crisis pretty much my whole life, right? Being where I'm from, being a third culture kid. And so like there's always this need for wanting to be acknowledged. That's why I started hosting at a young age. I wanted to be on a stage so that people knew who I was, what I was representing, and I wasn't judged or I wasn't put in a category or I wasn't in a box. And so it's this thing. It's always this always wanting to be acknowledged. And then through my experiences in my 20s and my early 30s of I realized that all I want to do is reach a significant level of influence so that when I do plan to go back to the Philippines afterwards, after when I've reached a certain level of success, I feel is I don't know. People always think you never know what is enough when it comes to success. I believe I have a number in my head. I want to go back to the Philippines and I want to be able to start building sort of like a foundation for where I can look for the best people in the country, talking about the smartest, the most talented, could be, your creatives, your athletes, people who are looking to get into the into politics, and uh, people who are interested in science, and people who are great at math. Like, I am not good at any of those. I am good at talking to people, entertaining, or you know, kind of leading the way in terms of, I don't know, like, not to I don't want to make myself sound like I'm all that. This is what I fear a lot every time I start talking about what I want to do is I know that I am not smart in that sense. But I know that if I do the things that I'm good at the right way, I am able to then sort of help those who are smart. And so I feel like that's my purpose is, so once I reach this level of influence and I have the the benefits, or like, or the funds basically to help with building an organization or a platform, and where you get the people who can really affect change, and then say, hey, listen, this is a platform for you. Tell me what you need. Let's have a conversation. You teach me. I can maybe, like, talk to you about my experiences, and hopefully you understand where I'm coming from, and we can sort of like meet somewhere and decide to do this together, and where we make this place better. That's what I feel that I can do. And then towards the end of my life, I just kind of just roam around and travel and just give talks and make people laugh and give people different sort of perspectives on life, and how the Filipinos are sort of viewed as, or how they live elsewhere around the world. And I feel like that's my purpose. So yeah, there's so much more to talk about. And the reason for why I say that I want to reach this level of influence is because obviously anywhere in the world, when you try to, you know, fight for, or when you try to protest or create some sort of change, that requires, of course, a heavy shift in government, or anytime you talk about stuff like that, it gets a little dangerous. And so that's where I feel the level of influence comes into play. So if I get, really famous for being this entertainer, and I'm sort of like known all around the world, then the more chances I have of doing what I want to do back home, and not be, chased out of the country. And obviously, I do know that it's not something that's it's not something that people talk about on a day. And this is what I mean by it's so far fetched. But in my head, I truly believe that I can do it. All right, that's my purpose. My goodness, we're off to like this is a strong start, y'all. I don't even know how long this podcast is. Like, when I started putting out episodes a couple of years back, I was like, no, it's got to be like 40, 50 minute. I don't think it should be that long, to be honest, if it's just going to be me on this microphone. I think like 30-minute tops. And I feel like we've hit the 20-minute mark. I can't see from this far, but like, all right, let's go to our next voice note. I think we've got like two more. This is Coach H. Hernando, my boy. Coach H he is like the head of coaching, um, kind of like director of operations, I believe. I don't know what his job title is, but he's like the big kahuna when it comes to junior NBA in the Middle East. So it's sort of like an extension of the NBA here in the Middle East, and where they sort of like give the kids some training and experience that, the kids over in the States, and all these players who are looking to make a profession, who are looking to make like a living off of playing basketball. So, it's like anyways. So Coach H, he sent me a little voice note. Let's listen to it.
All right, brother. I want you to write about how there are so many ups and downs of life, and that at times the universe is helping and pushing you along, and other times the universe seems like it's trying to stop you or put things in your way so that you can, either build thick skin, get frustrated, or anything at all,
Mm.
but that you got to just keep pushing to what you were put on this earth to do.
Okay, very purpose driven as well. Coach H, he loves a good motivational speech. But yeah, that's I feel like that's something everybody knows, or most people, because I know that there's people who have it easy, but then you never know what's going on in a person's head or in a person's life. Um, it's tough. This life is crazy. And I think the most important part is you just have to go through everything. And when I say that, I mean, just the consequences, the emotions, the highs, the lows. You have to experience everything, and you have to understand that it's never going to be the same. It's never going to be the same. But once you go through all those emotions and you're aware of them, then you pretty much know how to handle yourself when it comes to that point. Not to celebrate too much when you get a win, not to look or feel too down when things are falling apart, how to be there for other people when they're going through something for the first time. Um, and the whole human experience of it is, you have to look at it as something beautiful. Um, so many times and where I was just in a dark place and then it passed. Many times I felt super elated, very happy. And then a lot of times, because of the way my mind works and how I overwhelm myself with things that I want to do, and whether I'm doing it on time, like I've learned how to just be in the moment, realize that I can control what I can control and that I can't what I can't, and just take a step towards what I want to do and how I want to do it. So the biggest example, like I mentioned earlier, was because of all the craziness that's been happening in the Middle East, right? I could just be, you know, kind of demotivated, scared. Um, I could want to just leave and maybe start fresh somewhere. And that's all fair. All fair, by the way. But I'm not. I'm not choosing to do that. And I think that's another thing that maybe we could talk about on this podcast, or based on what Coach H was asking, was just it's a choice for me. I don't want to speak on behalf of everybody else, but I am choosing to not feel those things. I'm choosing to find the opportunity in the situation. For example, I lost all my gigs. Season is supposed to end by May or June, anyways. And so summer basically just came earlier for me. So I chose to look at it like that instead of, saving and spending what I made last season to get me through the summer, and all the way until when the season starts again, which for me is September. I just have to start spending a little less. I just have to start saving a little more. And then I just looked at it as an opportunity for me to just adapt. And then it's like, okay, now I have all this free time because I've lost all my work and, there aren't a lot of events happening. So let me work on my personal projects. Let me work on my, excuse me, let me work on my vlogs, on my music, on my podcast. Um, so yeah, I think to close it off, go through everything. Keep your, I want to say, I don't, goals in sight and inch your way towards them. It doesn't have to be fast. It doesn't have to be right now. But as long as you're moving forward, it's okay to feel like you're in a rut. It's okay to feel scared. It's okay to be in the dark. You have to go through these emotions, I feel. And then, yeah, understand that you cannot control everything, and that, with time as well and with the right kind of efforts, just move forward. Just keep swimming, is what Dory said. That is pretty much the most important thing when it comes to this crazy life. God, we're just so deep, man. I thought we were gonna do some. I thought I was gonna talk about some crazy shit and like have a few laughs. My first episode. My God, we're really deep. Okay, this is the last voice note that we got. This is from Jenna. Speaking of motivational speakers, Jenna is she's a basketball coach. She's a girls basketball coach. She's also a presenter and an MC who I want to say, um, influenced to start working, and she's doing her own thing now. She's paving her own path, and great job, Jenna. Let's see what she has to say. All right, here we go.
So, what are your thoughts on matcha?
Oh God. Okay, perfect way to end. So if we were really serious for the first few questions, now's the time to get a little silly. But I will take this seriously though, because matcha. Listen, I I understand what the craze, what the fuss is about. I understand. I also don't understand it because okay, the other day, you can even see it in one of my vlogs. I had a strawberry iced matcha drink, which I thought was great. Sometimes when I'm at Starbucks or at a coffee shop, I get a matcha, I get a hot matcha. Also great. Do I crave it? Not so much. It's 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 nice. It's like one of those things in where I used to have a problem with seasonal things at like fast food joints. Like, why would you just choose to just sell this now? It's a great part of the menu. Keep it on. I get the whole aspect of, the promotional aspect and the marketing. I get that. But matcha is something that I feel um if it was seasonal, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Like if you could only order matcha um in the burr months when it's a little cold, that's fine. It's like hot cider. You can't drink hot cider all year round. It's best to drink it around Christmas season. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, matcha flavored food like chocolates and I'm not a huge fan when it comes to sweets in that sense. I love candy. I love sour candy, but yeah, it's not like if I woke up today, if I woke up tomorrow and somebody said, "Yeah, there was a there's a shortage of matcha. And like in the next few weeks, we're probably going to run out. There's never going to be any more matcha like ever for like until the end of civilization." I'd just be this would be my honest response. Oh, okay. So yeah, I'm not too crazy about matcha, but thank you for that question, Jenna. I think that's all the time we have for today. Great first episode. Am I getting another message? Oh, no, this is for something else. This is for the news that I said I can't talk about. Hopefully I get to talk about this in the next podcast. Maybe the one after that. It could be big news. It could be nothing at all. But we still move, right? We still go. Putting out so much content for in the next few days. I have so much. I'm just backlogged. Is that the right word? I'm just trying to. I wanted to use that word like properly. It's just so much backlog, man. Like I've got so much. I've got so much media that I got to edit. I've got. But yeah, follow me on the gram. Follow me on the talk. Follow me on. I think we'll revive the YouTube as well. Why not? Because why not? That's the thing. Why not just put content out? All right. So this is also for those, or for the people that have been struggling with whether or not they wanted to put some content out. Just put the content out, man. It doesn't matter. You're not hurting anybody. You're not hurting yourself. You're not. Yeah. As long as you're not causing any kind of hurt or harm, just put the content out, man. Put the content out. 0 to 100 real slow. My name is Hadi. I'm so happy that we got this first episode out of. It's done. Boom. It's going up on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're watching this or hearing this from. I'll see you guys next episode. Goodbye.